Hey, in this video, we want to answer what is the best social media platform for your youth ministry in 2023. So it's going to be TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube. Yeah, go ahead and hang out in this video because recently Pew Research dropped some stuff that said that 42% of Americans use TikTok. Meanwhile, 71% of Americans use Instagram, and furthermore, 81% of Americans use YouTube. And so in this video, we are going to inspect all three of them, give you the pros and the cons, and then ultimately answer which platform is best for you to dial into in your student ministry in 2023 and beyond. But make sure that you stick around to the very end of this video because I have a surefire resource that is going to help you win in your social media in youth ministry. We have a free download to it at the very end of the video, so make sure you hang out with that. Now you might be asking, like, is that research for Americans or is that research for teenagers? And that's a great question because the teenage data is actually a little bit different. And so Pew Research dropped an article about a year ago, in fact almost a year ago from the date of this recording, where it compared 2014 to 2015 stats all the way to now, the most recent trends and most recent stats. And so interestingly at the time, YouTube wasn't originally captured as a social media. YouTube as a platform has been around, but it wasn't like converted in people's ideology to social until recently. Meanwhile, Facebook usage in teenagers went from 71% down to 32%. TikTok was on the rise, it's up to 67%, and Instagram is on the rise from 52% up to 52 up to 62%. Snapchat also was up on the rise along with Instagram. And so 67% of teens say that they use TikTok ever. Meanwhile, 16% of teens say that they use it, get ready for this, almost constantly. YouTube, though, however, does top the charts as the usage for teenagers at, get this, 95% of teenagers say that they are using YouTube. And then now Instagram and Snapchat both are next, and both are used by about 6 in 10 teenagers. So that data is quite a bit different, quite frankly, than the original data. And so I'll drop the link to this article so that you can see it. You can read it for yourself. The link is in the show notes. But that's what we're going to do is we're going to dive into TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube. Yeah, let's go. Well, hey everyone, my name is Nick Clayson. I'm a youth pastor in the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I've actually been in youth ministry for, believe it or not, 12 and a half years. And I've been managing social media accounts at each of those youth ministry stops in all sorts of various levels of intentionality and all sorts of various levels of just know-how. And so what's interesting is when I first started, I viewed social media as a way to just get out more information. Like I had an email list and also I had an Instagram following. And so Instagram wasn't even around when I started. I launched my very first student ministry Instagram page at the first church that I worked at. But every single church after that, I actually inherited an Instagram account and actually a fairly large Instagram account. However, in most cases, I helped launch a YouTube channel and I also helped create and start a TikTok from scratch. And so that's what I've done. Within the last year of starting here at the church I'm at now, we launched from scratch a TikTok account and a YouTube account. Instagram, of course, has been around and you're inheriting all of those followers. And so at just about every single church, I've had some measure of growing a social media ministry, a hybrid ministry, and social media and social networks, right, in all of my contexts. And so I'm just curious for you, I would love to know both where you're watching from and what social media network seems to be working best for you. You know, what's interesting, drop that in the comments below, but what's interesting is I just moved from Chicago down here to Dallas-Fort Worth, and in Chicago, they wouldn't text each other via text message or like standard SMS messaging. They would really only text each other, their friends, through Snapchat, which was a really interesting phenomenon. And so down here, it's not as much the same. Snapchat usage is still happening, but it's not the primary vehicle with which people communicate. And so it just goes to show that wherever you are regionally, it does truly matter, and it's a little bit different, and the culture and the climate are just a little bit different. So as you're letting us know in the comments below which social media platform seems to be working most in your youth ministry and in your context, you might be asking, what does working even really mean? I mean, are we talking views? Are we talking impressions? Are we talking like engagement? Are we talking reach? Like, what is it? And I actually have a lot of answers to that and how to get started in our 6-part social media framework for churches. I'll link it right here if that's something that you're interested in, but go ahead and take a look at that. If you are trying to get this up off the ground, get started in your social media, I would love to have you do that. If you are not watching on YouTube, that link will be in the show notes of your podcast catcher. But I just want to know that as we break down in that 6-part context, we break down which of these social media channels you can watch through each of the different platforms, and then you can be a decision maker as far as which is the best to implement in your current climate and in your current context. But TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube, let's dive in and let's look at each of the platforms, the pros, the cons, where they came from, and why they are where they are today. So let's go. Some say it started as early as 2019. Others say it started closer to the beginning of 2020. And you know me, like, I tried to play my part as much as I could, but it seemed like no matter what, everybody around me was getting it. And I kept distancing myself from it. I tried to stay away from it, but finally, it was around Christmas time of 2020. I finally just broke down and I decided I was going to get it. Now, you know what I'm talking about, right? Put it in the comments. 3, 2, 1. I'm talking about TikTok. Oh, you thought I was talking about COVID? No, I'm talking about TikTok, right? TikTok burst on the scene during the pandemic, actually. And what's fascinating is, like, there's all sorts of TikToks out there now about, like, I would never download that. And it's like me now, just like doom scrolling, like just consuming it at like mass crazy levels. Here's the thing that you need to know about TikTok is they invented a brand new way to do social media, and the way that they burst on the scene and the popularity with which they burst on the scene is now causing all other platforms to change their method and their approach to social media. And so TikTok brought to us what we now use, and you may not call it this or may not think of it this way, but essentially it's the discovery algorithm. It's the algorithm with which you consume the majority of your content from people that you don't even know. You're discovering them, right? A way that I've used this in my own life is last spring, my family and I, we went to Disney. We visited the Mouse. And if you've ever been to Disney, one of the best places to go to Disney is Epcot. All right, and so we went to Epcot on the very first day of our trip. My brother, my sister, and my brother-in-law came, and they joined us. They live in Florida, a few hours away, so they drove over. I mean, it was a blast. We hung out in Epcot, but in order to know the best, like, if you've never been to Epcot, they have this thing called the World Showcase, and you walk around this giant lake, and there are 11 different pavilions. You got, like, Mexico and Japan and China and Norway, and you got France, and you got Germany, and you got United Kingdom, you got the United States, you got Canada. I might have named all 11. I don't know. I might have missed one. Let me know in the comments if you're a Disney person and if I missed one. But what we did was I built a map, and I looked at the best food, the best drink, the best places to stop, the best carts to get stuff from at each of these different pavilions. And the way that I did that, the majority of my research was through TikTok. It's amazing. And now TikTok is converting to not just scrolling and hoping to find a good next video, but now TikTok is actually trying to convert into more of a discovery or like search-based type of platform where you can go and you can get answers to certain questions. And you might be thinking as a youth pastor, that's an amazing concept. And you're right, it is. You can answer very specific questions on TikTok. But here's the thing. In my Epcot experience, I got a lot of great answers. I went to the France Pavilion. I got the croquet glacé. I'm probably saying that wrong because I'm not French, but I was told, hey, this brioche bun with ice cream in the middle, and they flip it over in like a waffle iron type thing. I found out about that completely and exclusively on TikTok. I would have never found that little like kind of like off the beaten path little restaurant to find that thing in my normal meandering and walking around Epcot. TikTok came in clutch for me on that. However, I have no idea who posted it. I'm not following them. I don't have a relationship with them. And it's not a continued ongoing one. And so the relationships on TikTok, especially with those who follow you, are far less substantial than some of the other ones because of this kind of discovery-based algorithm. And I think TikTok might be trying to change that a little bit, but you just need to know that as a youth ministry, if you put your content out there and you do get a lot of subscribers, or you do get a lot of views, or you do get a lot of followers, like that doesn't necessarily equal more people that you're having like good influence with, because I think it's something like 85% of the content that any one of us consume on TikTok are from people that we don't know. And so for you, a really good thing to do would be to create a meaningful call to action that pushes them to some sort of thing, to a link in the bio if you do have enough followers on there, to your YouTube channel, to a digital connect card online, so that you can get to know the people that are watching your videos and that are getting answers from the big questions that you are trying to answer on TikTok. So with that being said, hey, listen, if you are getting value out of this video, if this has been helpful so far, I would love it if you would hit that like button, if you would give us a rating if you're listening to a podcast, or if you would subscribe on YouTube, and maybe even consider this, sharing it with a friend. But after this, we're going to move on to not just TikTok, but now we want to look at Instagram. So coming up next, let's take a look at Instagram, the pros, the cons, and what you need to know about that platform. All right, so Instagram, one of the things I call it, I don't know if this is really what it's called, but if you come into youth ministry, you're probably going to, at this point in the life cycle of youth ministry, in the life cycle of Instagram, you're probably going to inherit what I call legacy users. So that's people who have in the past been associated, affiliated, or connected with your youth ministry in some sort of way. But in the last couple of places that I've shown up and I've jumped onto the Instagram, what I've realized is that there are college students, majority of college students as our follower base. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing for general social media marketing, it may not also be a great thing for youth ministry social media marketing, because those are not the people that you're trying to reach anymore. And so on Instagram, you probably have some sort of an older audience as a result of just like the history of it and the way in which we've done things. So even in a church I went to, we just did a follower and following like audit, and anyone we didn't know, we took out, because if we don't know them and we've been there for a few years, like obviously it's time to sort of cut ties with this relationship here. And we're not trying to be jerks, we're not trying to cut people off, but that was not our target that we were like going towards, you know? And so if you go to a business account on Instagram and you look at the analytics and it's all skews older, like that's, as a youth pastor, you're like, that's not what you're trying to do. That's not who you're trying to reach. You can still minister to those people, and you should, but you just kind of got to know that there's going to be legacy users on Instagram. You just got to figure out what you want to do and what your personal philosophy to managing that is. The other piece of Instagram that you need to know is that it started out as a photo sharing app, and then it stole stories from Snapchat, and then it stole Reels from TikTok. And so honestly, right now on Instagram, there are three very distinct, different experiences for Instagram users. There's the feed, and there's stories, and there's Reels. And so for me, because short form vertical video content is king right now, I'm able to just do all of my focus on Reels, and use Reels to share stuff to the feed, and use Reels to share stuff out to stories. And so by using Reels, I'm able to kill literally 3 birds with one stone. But if you don't know that and you don't have some sort of like thought through strategy, Instagram can eat your lunch, because it is busy and there's a lot going on there on Instagram. Now, let's dive into the third and final verses: TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube. Let's check it out. YouTube. According to a 2022 study, we looked at it earlier, 95% of teenagers are using YouTube. 95%. 9.5 out of 10 people in your demographic that you're trying to reach are using YouTube. Now, not all YouTube users are built the same, right? Some are on there as adults, right, to like repair their faucet. Others, like my kids, they're on there to watch Roblox, and they're on there to watch Rainbow Friends and people get killed by these scary monster things. Teenagers are on there for probably a hybrid of those two reasons, along with answers to specific questions, along with entertainment, along with watching Mr. Beast videos, like whatever the case might be. Teenagers are on there for a variety of reasons, because YouTube has a variety of content. I mean, for crying out loud, this video right now is on YouTube, but 95% of teenagers use it. In addition, it is the second largest search engine in the world, powered by the first largest search engine in the world. So it is a great place to be discovered and to be found. And when people are going to YouTube, they're often asking specific questions, right? Like the other day I got onto YouTube and I was asking how to fix smoke coming out of my lawnmower. Very specific question. So I want you to reverse engineer, and I want you to kind of retrofit that idea into your ministry as a youth pastor. What are some of the specific questions that teenagers are asking you in day-to-day? Why does a loving God send good people to hell? If we're always forgiven for our sins, then why do we need to obey him now? What's the purpose of obedience? Does God need you or require you to vote Republican? Right? Whatever the questions are that you are fielding as a youth pastor, think about it. You have an opportunity on YouTube to go on there and answer very specific questions that your kids are asking. And furthermore, it is the second largest search engine in the world. So take those specific questions and help give them some specific answers. During COVID, I moved to a church, started a church the very first day of COVID, and then I got immediately locked down. And so I was working out of my master bedroom with boxes all around me, trying to figure out how to be a youth pastor in this brand new context. And I quite frankly, I did not have enough to do during that time. I kept asking my boss, what more do you want from me? What more do you want from me? And he was like, just keep doing what you're doing. And I wasn't doing much. But so what I did with my time, even as I was at home, is I taught myself Adobe After Effects. I taught myself how to do it step by step, keyframe by keyframe, agonizingly, and I was building things completely from scratch. And then once we broke free from the pandemic, I found out that all the creative people at my church were using a thing called Motion Array. I'll link that down below in the show notes if that's something that you want to check out. It's an amazing tool for After Effects, Premiere Pro, stock footage, stock audio. But guess what? I could take a Motion Array template and I could very easily use After Effects because I now had an ability and a skill set that I didn't have before. I completely used YouTube to teach myself a brand new skill. Speaking of which, if you are interested in our completely free Adobe Premiere Pro effects and plugins, they're easy bounce ins and bounce outs and rotates in and rotates out and dropping from the top and dropping from the bottom and a smooth effect and a bounce effect, then I want to encourage you to go to the link down below or the link in the show notes and grab that. If you're a video editor, if you use Adobe Premiere Pro, this is my number one go-to tool, and I would love to encourage you, if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing some of the effects right now, I would like to encourage you to download that and use it in your ministry if this is something that you are doing as a video editor. So now let's dive in to the conclusion, TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube. Finally, the verdict. Here we go. Let's look at it. So the verdict. TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube. What is it? If you asked me if I were to rank them in importance, here's how I would rank them as a youth pastor in 2023 in order of importance, in order of usage, in order of opportunity. I would rank them YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, in that order. Now, here's the good news. I have a way for you to knock all three of them completely out of the park, and here's why. Because of TikTok and them introducing the discovery algorithm, Instagram has adopted Reels and YouTube has adopted Shorts. And so by adopting one centralized strategy on your social media, i.e. short form, vertical, video-based content, I have a completely free ebook that I am giving away in the link to the show notes, and it's called this. It's called the 1 month done for you posting tool, and it will give you 40 different video ideas that you can film on your smartphone or on a camera and post with very little editing need or ability. You can do all of it from your smartphone. The good news is when you download that ebook, you're also going to get a link to our Have I Ruined My TikTok account, a complete guide to posting a TikTok from start to finish, all via your phone. And so both of those are going to be paired well together so that you, if you have no video editing ability, if I'm talking about Adobe Premiere Pro plugins and you're like, what in the world are you talking about? This is your way as a youth pastor with minimal experience, minimal know-how in any of these areas to completely revolutionize your social media experience. Because if you go all in on short form, vertical, video-based content, you can do fun stuff. You can do challenges and games with your students. You can get students on your social media, and you can you can answer specific questions to big and specific problems. You can do recaps to your messages so that your messages don't just happen on a Wednesday night and then die there. You can use a fully faceted, fully integrated social media posting thing, and I have all of that completely for you for free. All I need you to do is click that link and download that and just start using it today. And I would love to know if you do and if you find it helpful, because I think that it's an amazing resource and an amazing tool. So go grab that download. And if you actually want to put that completely to the fullest extent, if you want to use that to the best of its abilities, then you need to go check out episode number 60. Linked right here, answering the question why every single youth ministry needs a strong digital presence. Because here's the deal, we are here to make digital discipleship easy, and we want to encourage you to stay hybrid.